Hi everyone, welcome to our treasure hunt and welcome to Monday Night Live. Tonight we're going to still be on our series of situational awareness, and we're heading outside our house tonight. Not literally, it's dark outside, so I'm not really going to be outside. But I want to talk about the things about outside our house. And also, thank you for the TV watchers and those in the chat and replay watchers. There was a mix-up on the time because YouTube likes to change the time for some reason or another. I know I put on there and then it got changed. So, but thank y'all for being here. So tonight we're talking about outside. So what I used to do as a kid, I would, about Anastasia's age, 11 or so, and even up into my teenage years, we still did it. But in the 70s, we would sit out there and watch the cars. Nowadays, most of the cars, the back of the cars, they all look the same. But back in the day, uh, different cars had different front ends and back ends, and we would sit there and could tell by the tail light which car was which, because that was a game we played. And then uh, listening to the cars. Hey, Farm Life, how you doing? And listen to the different sounds of cars, what they made, and everything. From muscle cars to the home, like the station wagon or whatever somebody else had, and everything. And then you sit there and you listen to the sounds, the birds, the squirrels. Was a bird chirping at nighttime? Well, if it was, what kind of bird was it? Like especially in the summertime, crickets and everything out there. Um, and then just take around and sit down. There's people that live on farms. There are lots of sounds out there on a farm, from the animals to even tree frogs. Here in the city, we still have tree frogs. But I would sit there listening to cars. Yeah, because every car is different. Now they're quiet. They're not loud and make a lot of noise. They're quiet. And but we can hear different ones going up and down the road, especially tractor trailers, um, trucks, U-Haul, well, not U-Hauls, but dump trucks and different trucks like that. Actually, way back then, you could even know if someone had a manual car or a automatic, because you could hear them changing the gears. Did you know that your dog, if you have a dog, knows when your car pulls up? Yep. The animals know the sound of your vehicle. They know the sound of your steps and everything. So, sit outside and listen to what the sounds are around your house. When someone's walking in leaves, sometimes if it's a good pack of snow and it's got ice in it, you can hear it crunch. That's a given. Um, but even the squirrels make sounds. Go around, and especially if you have a house, and we live in a townhouse, so but push on the windows, see what kind of sound they make. Or while you're inside, have someone go outside, tap on a window, tap on the side of the house. Those are all different noises that we can become familiar with and everything. And then when something happens, because like they're upstairs and I hear something over here on the side, I have to still sometimes sit and think, was that them upstairs or is that somebody throwing something at the side of the house? Because it's like, that doesn't sound right. But then I don't hear it again. So, I go, okay, so it must have been someone moving upstairs, and because their bedroom, and then it's their closet, and then it's the bathroom. We can tell when it's in the bathroom. Rarely anybody's in the closet, and it's like, okay, you stop and think, what's that noise? Have I heard it before? What does it go to, and everything? So, even if you have a bicycle, there's an old squeaky bicycle going. Yes, in the summertime, my sister and I played outside from morning to almost dark. We didn't know what sunscreen was, and my body shows that I was putting lotion on. Yeah, I know. That's what we did. And then one game we played as kids was um, not red light, green light. All right, this was more at nighttime. Well, we did it during the day. If we saw a car coming down and we say freeze, or you had to hide, we yelled car, you had to hide, or hey Sue, how you doing? We try to figure out what kind of car it was and everything. Um, take a rock and make a noise, and different rocks make noises. Um, Especially when they hit things, the rocks make different noises. When you hit rocks together, they make different noises. If, I did. I had a camera. Always had a camera. I think almost every Christmas I got a new camera. But the first camera I had was a 35 millimeter, but it's called a Barbie camera. Because it was Barbie, but it was inside the Barbie thing, but it was a Barbie camera, and I took pictures with that thing, and then I had that a couple years thing. The next camera I had, my sister had a Polaroid. We loved that Polaroid. Take that picture, and you wait a few minutes, so you got the picture. And Stasia has the newest type of Polaroid camera, but the film kind of cost. I'll have to see if I can get her some film for Christmas. And then I had it was called a desk. It was about this big, but on by like maybe an inch wide, and the film was a desk, and you put it in there. I love that camera. I think that was one of my favorite cameras I had ever gotten. But then, we had my sister had the Polaroid, and she had the 110 camera. So those are pretty cool cameras. But if you don't, nowadays you have your phone, but if you still got an old camera, go around, take pictures of the outside. How things look like when the sun's setting it one way or when the sun's setting it another way. And then because at nighttime, everything looks different. Because, the sun's set and then there's shadows. Well, there's no moon. The only shadows you have is the lights around your house, if you have yard lights. We did that also at nighttime. We built the one. My dad put floodlights at the corner. Their bedroom right here was in the backyard, and so he put floodlights out one corner. Well, one faced one way, one faced the other way. And then the pool had the shadow behind the pool. So actually, someone could hide behind that pool, and we tested all that out. 13, 14 years old, my best friend and I, mother, we did that. Could someone hide behind the pool and you not see them, even with the yard light on? Yeah, you couldn't see anybody, and he was tall, so the bright flashlight on the Kodiak camera. Yep, I know. And the red eyes, and you got the pictures developed. Hey, Joy and Donnie. Oh, that's so cool. I know y'all having a good time. It's so pretty up there. That's awesome. So, yeah, take pictures outside, with your camera, with your phone. And if you have a camera, then go get the pictures developed. Because when the moon shines, and it looks one way, when there's no moon shining, Oh, that's fantastic. It looks a different way. Now, if you can have someone like so, we have the window right here. I'll show you all. Well, the blinds, of course, don't flush all the way, so they're open a little bit. But that we've got curtains, but there's still light that comes onto the wall from the porch light. Well, I can see if there's a shadow there or not. Even with my glasses off, I can see if there's a shadow. Oh, wow, I'm itching. I almost gonna start itching. Um, so I can see if there's a shadow there. Even with my glasses off, I can see if someone's But I know because I've got stuff at that window. If somebody's going to be at that window and I see that shadow move, then they're stepping in my planters. And it would be very bad for them if they were stepping in my planters. I wouldn't like it. So, but, you know, have someone go outside at night or during the day. See if they can be at the window. Um, does the shadow at one during the day give one shadow this way or that way? What time of day? And the same at nighttime. As long as it's safe, get someone to stand there at whichever window you are thinking, could someone really see through this in this window? Or could I tell if someone's at that window without even let them know that I see them? So that's one way to, so now, well, we used to always have, most of the time, my apartment was on the second floor or the third floor. We did have one apartment that was on the first floor, and I did that for my mom because it was hard for going up steps. But I'll never forget this. Oh my goodness, if I can tell y'all this without laughing. All right. So I've got a couple of stories. So this was in Virginia, and we just moved from the second floor down to the first floor and everything. And my bedroom's here. So they go out the door. Then it's the living room. Then it's another bedroom. And the bathroom's here. Then it's the kitchen. Okay. So, and my bedroom has the sliding glass door because it's the called master bedroom. Well, my son Chase and him and his friends were playing video games in his room, in their room. So I'm laying there and I turned the TV off. I was just like, I was kind of getting ready for bed, I guess, but I was just in my room. I turned the TV off, and then I saw a shadow, and I saw someone walking, but we could see people walking because they could. Where we were at, the grocery store was, you could walk to the grocery store. And then I'm just like, okay, well, then it was closer. And I'm like, you are kidding me. Here I am. I was going to EMT, being an EMT, doing security, and for I don't know what reason or what happened, but then all of a sudden this person is trying to open that sliding glass door. And see me. I'm ashamed. I'm gonna tell you how to do that in just a moment, Joy. And I'm like, you're kidding me. I could not get up to do anything. All I could do was get on the side of the bed where the person couldn't see me and call 911. I could not get up to get to my door. I could not get up to get to my son or nothing, because if I had got to those boys and said someone's at my sliding glass door, I mean, there was like 2 or 3 of them. And they were not small kids either. And they're in middle school. They were all tall and have big shoulders and everything. But like I could not, for me whatsoever. And I'm not one that was always scared like that. But for some reason at that time, I think if that person had gotten in, it'd have been a different story. But I could not, nothing. I could not get up to do anything. And so by the time the police did get there, the person had gone on, but they found him, and what it was, he was drunk and he was walking home and thought he got to the right apartment. And I'm like, well, he's lucky because instead of me jumping up and like normally I would do, I would have jumped up and had my weapon with me and yanked the curtains back and go and start yelling, "What are you doing?" and everything. I said, I couldn't move. For some reason, I just froze up. And the police officer happened to be one I knew. He started laughing at me, and I started laughing. He goes, "Nancy, it's okay." He goes, "We all do that." He goes, "We don't like to admit it as police officers, but sometimes we do freeze up." He goes, "We don't know why we do that because we're not trained." He goes, "I know you. I know how you're trained." And he just got to laughing. I was like, well, it's just one of those things. So, and so what we did is, like I said, as kids, we learned how to see what things looked at nighttime. Well, of course, a lot of times we played hide and seek in the dark. So we knew the shadows. We knew what shadows to hide in so the other person couldn't see us and everything. That's a game you can do with, you got family or, young kids or your grandkids or something. Play hide and seek in the dark. And then you can learn, oh, well, there's a shadow. If I stand in this shadow, can someone see me and everything? So I was telling Rebecca, okay, so we've had things happen to us, me growing up. One was the person knocking, banging on that door, and then they got open the door at the corner and yelling at it, going, "Ha, ha, ha." And, well, I think I was probably like Anastasia's age, 11 when that happened. About 10, 15 years later, somewhere along that. Hop down in space, happy does travels. One of the kids that my sister and them grew up with and everything came over to visit my parents and everything. If I ain't told them it was him that did it, and they asked him why, he goes, "Because y'all wouldn't call the cops." I was like, everybody played pranks on us because they knew we wouldn't call the cops or get them in trouble or anything or whatever. So, but one night, I had showed y'all a diagram of my parents' house. Well, my sister said someone's in the bushes. So the bushes were always tall until my dad trimmed them, but they grew up tall. And my mom put azalea bushes up to the bathroom. I think, well, I know she put azalea bushes, but not all the way down because we left some of those bushes up. Anyway, one night we kept hearing something, and I don't know what it was. So I was in the bathroom, had the light off and everything, so it was dark. Sit in your room, turn the light off, see where the shadows are. You can hide in that shadow where you can see out or what's going on, but they can't see you. Well, this isn't all black, but you could just, if sometimes we get so used to colors and sometimes it's good to sit in all black, sit in the shadow, and then ask someone can you see me? We learn how to do all that also. Why do you think cat burglars and all that wear black? Because they blend in the dark, in the shadows. So I was sitting in the bathroom, and I had the blind up because it was one of those roller blinds, and It was still, we had the crank window, so I had to be about Anastasia's age, maybe 12, 13 or so, something like that. And we knew somebody was sitting in there in the bushes, um, because when I was trying to think, I was younger. Well, someone had already tried to scare my mom years ago. So we were sitting there, and I'm just like, because my sister had the front bedroom, she came and got me. She goes, I think someone's in the bushes. So go in the other room. I'll take care of it. Now, this, I know it's that time, around that time, because my dad was working night work. So it was just me, my older sister, and my mom. My other sister was married, and my brother was away at college. So who's left to sit there and defend everybody? It was me. When we were young in summer, when lightning bugs were plentiful, my sister and cousins would pull off the lights on the bugs, and we would put the lights on the fan. Oh my goodness. We used to go catch them and put them in the jar and then let them go. So I was the one that defended the family, took care of things when the dogs bark, go see what they're barking at, um, fix things. So I learned how to do a lot of stuff. So I just told her, I said, go in the other room. And I sat there in the dark, and I heard the person. I heard them what they would heard them in the bushes because they would be in between. They could be right there at the house and everything. And and I know there was a car out there, but I was telling Rebecca this story. I said, I gotta tell this on Monday night. I said, I was getting ready to just go, yell, do something, say something or whatever and everything. And hey Misha. So I'm sitting there and I heard the person and everything, and all I couldn't get anything out. I wanted to go, oh, yeah, like that and everything. And all thing that came out was, and I stopped. I tried to yell again. It would not come out. That's all that came out. That person took off running so fast. They never came back. But I thought to myself, here I am. I'm supposed to be the brave one and everything. And I couldn't even yell like that. I just got that little sound out. And then, here I am. I'm supposed to be the brave one for my kids and everything. And I couldn't even go to do that. But I was just like, there's sometimes, no matter how much training you have, you will just freeze up a little bit and just do what you can and everything. I know. It was so funny. I still remember that. I was like, oh my goodness. So tonight, when you get a chance, not tonight, but tonight is what we're talking about. During the week, take notice as the sun is setting, which way the shadows are. Now, if say like you've got a plant, and it's a pretty decent sized plant. Watch as the sunset as that shadow goes. Could an animal hide behind it, like a raccoon or a skunk or something like that? I did too in dreams. I know. I was living in Missouri, and I was like, I've fallen asleep. I've fallen asleep on the couch or something or another, and I did that in my dream. I was dreaming I was chasing somebody or something or another. So I was chasing somebody or something or another like that. And in my sleep, I did that sound. And my son I live with me, he woke me. He goes, "Mom, what are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "All of a sudden, you just made this sound." I told him I was dreaming. Yeah, we can yell in our dreams, and we can make sounds in our dreams and everything. Um, because we process so much during the day and everything, and sometimes it just kind of spills over in our dreams, and then that defense mechanism kicks in and everything. And sometimes, maybe it's just a dream to sit there and, hey, we maybe want to be aware of this. It may not really happen, but, you know, oh, Lordy. So, just be aware that sometimes your dreams are warnings also. So, and then, let's see here. And sit outside. Now, like over here, I used to sit outside at night right before the sun started to set because I wanted to take a scope of what looked like what. Whose cars was whose, what cars belonged to who, because we live in an apartment complex. And um, people, the apartments behind us, who still lives there, who's new. There's new cars over there. There's new cars over here. So, and I used to sit outside, and so I say summertime, but like as it turns to fall, and just watch where the shadows would go to, as the sun set. Because someone had, we have garages over here. Well, we already know they can hide behind the garage, but is there another shadow that they can just sneak into that we wouldn't see them? Um, the same way with the trees and the back here, back there. Very rarely does anybody go get the mail at nighttime because you can't see. It's just the tree line. It's a tree line between us and the other apartment complex. But in right behind the mailbox, a little ways, there's a little path so people can walk back and forth. There's animals back there because as it goes towards the field, it gets thicker and everything. So, do you see an animal go across? Do you know what kind of animal it is? Um, and then at nighttime, there's different smells too. There's always, and especially in the fall, the sounds of crunching leaves or someone stepping with sticks or something. I have been blessed to live in the country most of my life, except a half a year. That's awesome. So yeah, and like in the country, it's different sounds and everything than it is in the city. Um, Now we have a main road that's right here beside us, and then our road is the kind of like the main road to come in and out of the neighborhood. So when a car is going up, especially if it's a loud car or a muscle car or whatever, I can tell which way it's going. Um, when they come around here, they like to use our. By the time they get to this corner, this street here, we're kind of like a dragway. So it's like, okay, here they go again. But I've gotten to know the different sounds of the different cars. Um, like I said, a lot of cars are quiet now. But if I see the car, I'm like, oh, I know that car. They live up in the neighborhood. Or especially the cars that come around here thinking this is a thoroughfare, and then you have to turn around and leave. A bear, a coyote, a deer, a wild turkey, a raccoon. Exactly. Because I always thought that raccoons were nighttime animals. I saw one during the day. I was like, huh? That's weird. That raccoon was almost the size of a small dog, I mean, not like a chihuahua, but a medium-sized dog. And I was like, what in the world was that? And that's been like six years ago. So those things can get huge. And I'm just like, but when I saw it, it went by the car, and it's like the way it went, like it didn't go underneath the car, but it went like behind the back tire. And I was like, oh, I didn't think of that either. If an animal could hide underneath your car and everything, to be aware of that, because sometimes they do. Besides the cats that are outside, or you know, maybe your dog. Seeing a raccoon back in the day, sometimes it's rabbit. They say, okay, I was wondering about that. Yeah, this is when Anastasia down. She was little, so about, I would say, 6 years ago that happened. Yeah. Wow. So we have seen deer out here in the fields. Anastasia and I have. So before they cleared the other part of the tree line, there was it had overgrown a lot, and there's rabbits that lived underneath there, but I'm quite sure they found another place to live. But here's here's our apartment. There's the garages. There's a field, but there's a tree line right there, where brush and small trees are all grown up and everything. So when her and I used to go walking during the day, even if it was daytime, it was places that people could hide underneath and everything. And okay, farm life, that's good to know, you guys. And so, and she wasn't too far from me anyway, but I was always looking. I'm always thinking, could someone get underneath there? How could they hide underneath there? And during the fall and winter, you could see, because the leaves fall off and everything. Squirrels and rabbits, also, fox also. Yeah. And so, we walk it there in the winter, cooler after the leaves are falling, I could actually see if someone could get underneath there. And if they had, how, what was going on. But they then cut all that down now so that you can actually see, more of the field. So, and that's a good thing, but then it was a bad thing for the animals. Transferring videos to my computer while listening. I understand that. That's a lot of videos to take. So, noticing when something's moved, like I said, go take pictures. Sit outside, drink a cup of tea or a coffee, and just like you did inside, close your eyes just for like 15 seconds and just listen, and then open up and see if you can pinpoint where the sound was coming from. Um, Even during the day, in the sun will cast shadows. Hey, Heather, how you doing? So, looking where the sun casts shadows during the day, that's another thing that you can look at. Because sometimes where the sun cast a shadow is where the moon is going to cast a shadow, especially if it's a full moon and it's bright and it's not cloudy outside. So, you know, stay outside, pay attention. Well, we got, just like us gardeners and everything, they tell us to, when the sun's up, when it's set, as at noontime, and when it's set, so you know where to plant your garden. Basically the same concept. You can go outside to do the chores or whatever you're doing. Take notice of what time of day it is, where the sun's at, what's casting the shadow. And then think, would this be a shadow at nighttime to where an animal could hide, a person could hide, or anything like that? I filled up after dropping you off. It was the cheapest price on the main road. Oh my goodness. It probably was sheets. Sheets is usually the cheapest one around here. or UDF up here. I had such a good time. Real quick, I still have pictures from last Wednesday that I went with and got met up with Misha, Jeff and Tammy, the Gypsy and Vanilla Gorilla, um, Chris. I had travels with Chris and her husband and Misha's friend Evan, and we had a blast. I was so glad I went. No, it was Speedway. Oh, okay, Speedway. Yeah, they're pretty good, decent prices and everything. Well, that's cool. Oh, I'm glad. Oh, we had the best time. So I've got that stuff to edit and everything. Oh, but yeah, that was so much fun. It was so funny because Jeff and Tammy didn't know I was coming, so at least I kept that quiet, and they were just so surprised. So that was, I think, one of the best things was surprising them, and we had a great time. Um, so with that, and then if you can't get cameras, you can set up stuff. All right, here's something you could do. You got everybody, most of the people who have houses, yards, and got sticks. If you can remember to do it, so on Chris's channel, okay, cool. Lay those sticks underneath the windows of your house, and when someone steps on them, you'll hear that. You'll hear that break. That will wake you up. When if you have a dog and animals, you can hear that. That will wake you up. I'll make my video tomorrow. Hopefully, I went out. I'm still working on it. I think Jeff already has all his up. I was like, oh my goodness. So take sticks and a good 12 inches and just lay them. I would lay them. So here's your window, but I'll lay them, I guess you would say vertically or horizontal. Not vertically. So, which you can that way. Christmas bells that hang on the doorknobs. Yep. That's what we have all year long. That's the inside one. Jeff was the first one. I know. It was so funny. I had no idea he was live when he came in that door. I was like, oh, I thought he was filming. So, and then, like I said, you take a count outside or where the shadows are. Have someone, even during the day, like I said, with the sun, if there's a shadow there, have someone stand there in that shadow. And then you think, is this at nighttime? Will I see someone there or not? My sister lived in a rather big town. Her husband planted cactus under their daughter's window. That's a fantastic idea. That is a fantastic idea to do that. Yeah, you would definitely hear somebody, ow, 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 screaming in pain. Because I know those things hurt. Um, that's like last week when I was talking about the peeping Tom at our window. Yeah, thorny is great too. Exactly. Um, I really don't think there was anything that we could have done outside to sit there and see if, because that side of the house, the neighbors right here, they always had their porch light on, so there was a light that would kind of like lit up the area right there because it was their driveway and everything. And yeah, because we went out there at nighttime and there was no shadow right there on the side of the house. Now, the bush at the end of the fence line, which is a chrysanthemum bush, I know people could get underneath that bush because I used to do it as a kid. I have some solar alarms. There you go. Yeah, put up alarms. The solar alarms. There's the bell thing. Remember when you go into a gas station and you open the door, it has a Ding dong. Oh, you'll be all right, farm wife. This is just letting you know how to keep yourself safe. So, and if you can get those, I forgot where you can get them, but you can set them up to different areas and everything, like a tree, maybe in your driveway, and have the sound thing inside. That way, when something goes across it, you know something's going on. Something just fell. I just don't know where it was at. Nightmares for sure tonight. I just pray Psalm 91 over you. So, um, yeah. So listen to the sounds. But so I might first be back to my first suggestion. Sit outside in the daytime. Look around your house. Look around your area. Know where things are. Um, Take pictures of it uh, on your phone, or you get a camera and take pictures, and just lay it out. It's like, okay, this is over here and this is over here. It's also for you to know where everything is at, because like Heather, and I know Heather have animals when they go out nighttime. You know, sometimes it may be a storm or something other, so you'll know exactly where you need to walk to get to go help the animals or whatever. They say do not have big bushes near house windows or by door, because robbers and worse hide behind those. So then again, when you go around the neighborhoods and you look and see about the houses that have these, I'm not saying not have bushes, but don't have them so tall. Um, what irritated me for a long time was when they built the new houses, and you got, it's like an insert. Here's the two walls, and then it's like this, and then there's your door. I'm just like, who came up with that design? Did I not realize that was the worst thing someone could do? Why am I going to have my door up inside between two walls instead of up flush with everything so I can see? I bet you can take a photo and upload it to Grok, and Jim and ask what you need. Hey, there you go. That's an idea too. Take your photo. You can, with all the AI stuff going on, uh, I'm telling y'all from experience, if somebody wants to find you, they will find you. It's all about you being safe. No robbers and burglars and everything. Most of the time, I said 9 times out of 10, so 90% of the time, it's a random thing. They just run around and everything. That 10% of the time is someone that's a professional, or and I really don't like to label anything, but that random person that's doing it is most likely someone who's looking for money to go buy something illegally. And that's my experience. That when I was doing security and everything, most of the time that's what people were doing. So, but when you're prepared and you know what's in your yard, you know what's not in your yard, you know what's near your house or around your house, you're better prepared. Uh, First of all, always call 911. Sometimes you may have to do something to take care of yourself. You have to do it. But always call 911 and tell them someone's around my house. Someone's, I hear this, or, this is what's going on. and leave them on the phone. Leave that dispatcher on the phone. I bet you if you asked AI search engines with your photo, move the bush here to do this, they probably would. But when they make new homes, all the landscapers, they pay for those landscaping people to come in and put things in and everything. Also, which to me, and then during the summer, every summer, my dad would trim the bushes down to where, see, I was, well, it was 5'4". So instead of being taller than me, they would probably like come up to and be like 3 feet. Hey, Barry, how you doing? And so I think, and then when I was 13, some of those bushes, my mom, we pulled out and everything because she wanted the azaleas planted and everything. So then it was easier after that. If we still had some of the bushes at the end of the house, but my dad, we always trimmed them. But I was like, those are the things I remember, people trying to do different things. They have to get through the cows first. Yeah, take cow patties and you put them here, put them there. Make booby traps. Remember this movie Home Alone? Maybe One to the Bees. Yeah. And then Home Alone, he did all kinds of things on the outside and the inside. Here's a little secret. We've done some of those things before the movie came out. We were sitting there. I think my parents they'd gone to somebody's house or something or another. And or they'd gone to visit somebody for a couple of days. So we were like 14, 15 years old by this time. But I think maybe a little bit younger. But anyway, we were sitting there and we were like, the dogs were barking. I was like, oh my goodness. So my best friend was with me. I'm like, not again. So what we did was we took the chairs and we put I forgot what I know. I had a Mickey Mouse dummy. I mean, a full size Mickey Mouse. We took that and we took some pillows and everything and made it look like somebody was sitting there at the TV watching everything. And then we went and hid in a different area. So if it was somebody was out there, out in the front or whatever, they would see that. But then we could get them because we were actually watching them. Because like I said, we had the main level we had built on, so we had a side door we could go out. So, we were always looking, sneaking, trying to figure out which way is better to go out. Was it the back door or the side door? Because where it was the driveway, we still had remember we had those gumball trees. And when they fall on the ground, you step on those suckers hard. So we one year picked them up as much as we could. We put them in a bucket. You throw them, they hurt just as much too. So we was like, well, let's see if we can get this done or have this, in an area that we know that it's at and everything. So, as kids and everything, we always played all kinds of different games. But it was good training to figure out, all right, could someone hide in this spot or someone hide in that spot? So my sister, that's 9 years. Yeah, 60. My sister that's 9 years older than me. So 18. So I was 10. Because she was 18, 19. She was going to community college. And what had happened was the church we were going to, this guy had come in up and sat behind all the teenagers and everything. And she was working at Sears Roebuck. Sears had a candy section. Remember, in the middle of the store? Remember some show back in the 80s called I think. Oh my goodness. I adore them. I love that movie. Yes, I remember that show. I said, there's no such thing as aliens. I'll give you my theory in a minute. And so he walks up to her at the can and where she's working. Much we used to ride the bikes in the woods, pretend they were hiding. My goodness. Yeah. And tells her name, where she sits in church and everything, and about all kinds of stuff. So yes, it scared her and everything. So this was a summertime, and one of my brother's friends from school had come over to visit, and I forgot how we figured out what car he had. This guy car he had or whatever. But he had followed my sister to the college. Okay, so when we're talking about stalking, this is stalking, okay? When someone follows you, go to school, and they're sitting out there waiting for you to come out of the school. If they follow you from home to work and they're sitting there waiting for you to come home, get out for work, and they follow you wherever you go. You go to the grocery store, they're there. Sitting there waiting for you to go in the grocery store. Sometimes they'll even go in the grocery store while you're walking around. And then they'll follow you home. I think the difference between that and the private investigator, one is paid and one is not. But a private investigator is not going to let you know that they're following you. Those are little tips and everything I'll teach y'all later. But he did. He followed her to college. He sat up there. He waited for her. So she had told people, and she went to go out to her car, and she saw it. She comes back in, and a few of the guys walked her out there, and the security guy was with them and everything. And, he followed her home. I had creeps try to pick me up as a kid a few times from cars in different states. I had to run into the cornfield once and run to a stranger's house another time. Exactly. Used to be you could run and knock on somebody's door and they help. Nowadays, they kind of like office because so much has happened. But if someone's knocking on the door and they're asking for help, tell them you'll call 911 for them and ask them what's going on. So that night, my brother's friend and a couple had come over, and we had been playing hide and seek and everything in the dark. So we kind of knew where to hide and everything. And his name was Mark. There was 2 Marks, but he had been over quite a few times, so he kind of knew where to hide. Oh yes, there are a few creeper vans back in the days. Oh yeah, we probably still yeah. I do not. Yeah, we don't answer the door. So he goes to leave, and all of a sudden he is just pounding on the side door. And we open. He goes, that car. He goes, that car's out there. That car's out there. I said, now remember, there's no cell phone back in the day. There's no way to communicate to hey, don't come home or whatever. So, and we didn't have the door locked. No, we locked it. So him, my brother, and the other friend and everything was waiting outside for my sister to get home. They took the bat. They went outside. They were going. The guy drives off. So my mom calls 911. And, the police come and everything. We give a description of the car. Yep, Marco Polo's in the pool. And they tell us there's nothing they can do until he harms or, he does do something to her. So my mom goes, so he could kill her until you could do, she would have to die or something like that for you to do something. And the officer, he goes, I hate to say that. He goes, but basically, yes, unless he harms her, there's nothing we can do. So that's when the laws kind of start changing, was back then. But she got home. She banged on the door because I had the door locked. So we got her inside and everything. And so the police went around and they found where he lived. He lived, so he lived in the beginning of the neighborhood, and then this street went down and around, and he lived in one of the houses down the street. And I was like, you are kidding me. He was that close and everything. Come to find out later, he was in a, I don't say mental hospital, was what we said back then, and they had let him out by accident. So I was like, oh my goodness, yes, our dogs bark like crazy. Um, my sister, she had a black lab. I had the mutt, and we had the Chihuahua, which was hers we got it when I was 13. But he stayed with me most of the time anyway. But I was like, the dogs. I took care of everything, while everybody was at work. Yeah, accent. What the? I know until he does something. So now, like, things have changed quite a bit. Even as far as cyber threats and everything, now they can trace all that. So it, has changed in the last since 80s, 90s, 2000, in the last 20 some years. But that's why we've learned, and how I learned, just what's to look at for outside, to know your property, to know what your house looks like, to know where shadows are, know what sounds like, know what cars come in and out of your neighborhood. If you live in a neighborhood, even if you're in the country, what cars go up and down during the day, what cars go up and down during the night. Another thing that happened, we're talking about, oh my goodness, hold on. I was talking about that. I was going to say something else. Um, talking about the woods. So I ended our street, and there's another street right here. Then it was a dead end, and then it was woods and everything. And we used to have these really deep ditches they had until they filled them up. I mean, there was like a good 50 feet from the road to the bottom, everything. But then in the woods, they had, when they fixed it all, there was a pipe. And that wasn't a small pipe. We could stand in the pipe and our heads still wouldn't touch the top of it. And got bad people, fake accidents. So you've got to be prepared for that. Someone knocks on your door for help, especially in the middle of the night. Tell them what's your emergency? I can call 911 for you. Um, you know, let your dogs bark. Don't tell them to be quiet. That's what they're there for. Yeah, I know that as our animals get older, sometimes they don't. It was like a tunnel. Now her brother sit there, took a flashlight, and walked to where it was all connected and everything. Like how he sit there and said it was like 4 or 5 miles and everything. He came back like, oh, where did you end up at? And he told us what street he ended up on. And we just like looked at him like he was almost scared. I was like, he ended up going in the Navy anyway, so he loved all that stuff. But yeah, we were in those woods and played all the time. and always look to see when someone, you know, was doing something like a tent or whatever and everything. And then during the fall, as the leaves fell and everything, we could see the houses that was just on the other side. The end of our street and the end of the other section, they didn't connect it because that part where right there where the creek was and everything was swamp. So they didn't connect the streets right there. They just let the creek be right there and had the tunnel. But then they came later on, we were like 15, 16 when they fixed all that. Just wondering because I remember those as a kid somewhere we lived. Yeah. Okay, Misha. So, yeah, because we always like when it rained. I did not like going down there. So I didn't like the water then. Um, because when the water rose and it went over the road, you couldn't see the road. Yeah. So there was a lot of times that it rained and let's take a car and ride down the street. Like you ride down the street, I'm staying here. And that they did that quite a few times. But the last time I was like, no, y'all can go. No, I'm not drowning. That's it. Drive-ins. We almost lost a white lab that would bark in the garage when a stranger vehicle would come up in our lane. Oh, she passed away 3 years ago. Now Rooster crows from his cage or something. That's awesome. But see, animals know. Whether it's, your rooster or your dog, even your cat. You can train a cat to sit there and let you know, hey, something's going on. Now the cats are funny because they will sit in the window. They see something going on because they see all kinds of things. They you have a window sill that they sit in. They'll sit there. That's funny. Someone pops up to look in that window and they see that cat. That's hilarious. He's that much help. Exactly how animals alert us. Some of my cows moo and things. Yeah, because animals know, especially if there's a fox out there or maybe some other kind of animal like a raccoon or whatever. Yeah, because we've had friends try to scare us and they got to looking and as the cat's looking right them in the face and they say they just got scared and ran off. Like, oh my goodness. I don't think. All right. So another thing you can do, as a suggestion, when you come home from the store and you're sitting in your car, take a look around. We're talking about the outside. Take a look around. Look how things are as you pull up. That was like, for example, here we go. Here's a good example. So I had to go to bed. Okay, see you later. Thank you, Barry. So when Misha brought me home last Wednesday night and everything, we keep this front porch light on. It stays on all the time because we'll forget to turn it on. And she pulls in as we go by. I'm like, that was the first thing that caught my eye. I said, something that's not right. The porch light's not on. And she just looked at me. I said, we never turn that off. It stays on all the time. So we came, after we sat there for a little bit and I came in and everything and they were like, was that you? I'm like, what do you mean it was that me? Because they said they saw me on the camera and everything. I'm like, well, came in. I was like, after we got upstairs, like, oh my goodness, I forgot the front porch light's on. So they came back downstairs and checked everything out. I still don't know, and I don't know how the porch light got off because someone must have flipped the switch by accident or something or another. But we have had to where Right, so the back porch light, that's the same thing. It stays on all the time because we'll forget to turn it on. So we were sitting here one night. Now this is a few years ago. I said almost right around when we've been here for 7 years, so maybe 6.5 years this happened, and I think my son came down for something. I know I happened to look out his window or whatever, and he goes, "Why is the porch light off?" I'm just like, "I don't know." Like, we don't turn it off, and station, I don't touch it and everything, because there's two switches on by the door, and one we don't know still where it goes to. The other one is the porch light. So he was like, we looked, the light was still up, so it should be on. And he goes to take the cover off, and it's loose, and it kind of just like falls in his hand. So he holds that, and he takes the light bulb, screws it back in, it comes on. So somebody had been, I don't know if ours was the only one, but they had unscrewed the light bulb. And we know who, we have a theory of who it was, because like I said, every apartment I've lived in, I've had problems with maintenance. So, and it's dark. If you don't have that porch light on, especially in the front, it's dark. We've got bushes now. That big bush is gone, so they can't hide behind that one anymore. The other two they've trimmed up and everything that's beside us, so they're low enough. But if I'm standing like this, and I gotta stand right here in front of those two. I mean, the bushes are like maybe 3 feet tall now, but they're stuck, and they can go down and duck anything, and someone could still be right there. But of course, I've got my flag there now. The sunflower thing. I gotta upload that video. He's so top heavy that he's just on the ground. He can't even stand up. It's just on the ground because the stalk's not thick enough. So if nobody's paying attention, they're gonna trip up over that. Um, Now with the flowers I have out there with the bells of Ireland, that thing is huge. If someone, they step on that, they're gonna get hurt. Not hurt, but I don't know. That thing's got little bitty thorns that you don't see. So that thing is going. I've already tried to lift one thing up, and I got like, yeah, I'm not touching that again. Forget it. That thing hurt. So, being aware of what's going on outside. Like today, I went out there. I found my other flags. I was putting that up, and as I'm standing out there, I take a notice of what's going on and what's changed. If there's a car out there that's on the parked in front of another townhouse, does that car stay there all the time? Is that a normal car? Is that not a normal car that's there? That's a car that's there all the time. Um, I'll I look over to my right and see if any of my neighbors have anything else outside, or we have that tree right here at the corner. Um, but that corner right there, that's blocked. My sight to the side of the townhouse is blocked. But I'm like, you can hear if someone's walking, because I've had Anastasia do that. I'll be sitting there and say, go in there and come back around. Then we were playing game. That's all she knew. But I had, she's in Crocs or in tennis shoes. I trained myself to hear those sounds. I just checked the hotel door to make sure it's good locked. Because someone is snoring in here. Oh, he's so tired. So, those are the things. If I sat outside at nighttime, I would watch and see where the shadows of the car are. Now, I looked out the window before I started because I wanted to see. Now, it's our car, there's a parking space, and then our neighbor's car because that space is numbered. So, though there's no car there, could someone duck down in front of our car and be there? Yes, they could. So there's a shadow there from the lights. So we have street lights, a special light at the mailbox, and then the garage has lights. We have our porch light on. I don't think they got their porch light on. I didn't notice that. So it's like almost every other neighbor has a lot of porch lights on. So, but I know, could someone be in front of the car? Yes, they could. Now, myself, I got to turn the car around because he doesn't like the front being out like that. I don't know if he'll go turn around or not. So also has your car facing. Is it facing towards the house? Is it facing away from the house? Do you have a high back on your car? Is it a low back on your car? You have a truck. Do you have a bed of your truck? Do you have a way to see if you can look without looking and everything? So, going back to looking and see if someone's looking in your house. And several ways you can do things. First of all, have curtains, have blinds, have curtains, have something up at your window. Because at nighttime, I'm going to tell you, if you don't have nothing up, this used to bug the mess out of me too. But I'm telling you, if you don't have a curtain and you got the light on, people are going to see you. It's a free for all, especially when it comes to private investigation work. If you don't have a curtain there, they can take pictures all they want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because with a curtain or blinds or anything, you're saying, I have privacy. I forgot the technical term we used to use. Yeah. It's a sense of privacy. It was a legal term that was there. I can't remember what it was now. But yeah. So one of these new neighborhoods, they had growing up, in Virginia, nobody had curtains at the downstairs windows whatsoever. The bedrooms, yes, they did. Downstairs, I'm like, people, are y'all stupid? Y'all get your light on, your TV going, and we can sit here and watch you. One person we knew, we sat there and we saw him the next day. Hey, you had this, and this, and this on your TV. How'd you know that? Oh man, they turned ways. I don't know what. I was like, because you didn't have a curtain or a window, a shade or a blind at your window. What do you think? People, you just don't think people are not going to watch and see what you're doing? Now it's like they went and got some. Even in Walmart, they have these ones that you peel and stick and you can pull down. We had those when we lived the first place we lived. Because there was no blinds in the window whatsoever. And I said, I said, no way. We're going to get curtains and we're going to put blinds up or something or another. So I am not going to sit in here without something to cover up those windows. And here we have blinds. Now, I have heard if you've got them facing up, it's harder for people to look in. I always have mine facing down. For a simple fact. To me, if they look in, they're still going to be seeing down. I've tried that. Now, like at this back door, I've got that curtain hanging up. Curtains upstairs, front house, no curtains, the rest. Yeah, back faces the woods. I was like, say, Heather, you're out in the country anyway. So, like that blinds don't, it's not flushed with the door. It never has. So there's that about an inch. And I looked to see when I came home from the doctor getting my shots last week, a week before. And I was like, I wanted to see if someone had come up to that door and it had angled just right, they would see right into where my TV and everything is at. Now, if it's at nighttime, of course I'm gonna see a shadow. But I was like, you ain't gonna see me sleeping doing nothing because I saw the curtains there. It's not a curtain; it's just a piece of fabric, but it's long enough. But the main thing of it was to keep the cold out in the wintertime, and then keep people from peeping in. Like I've been there, done that with the peeping tom. Ain't have happening again. So and then so think of it this way. If you can see them, they can see you. If you can see them, whatever they're doing, they can see you, especially with the lights on. So I'm gonna put my hair, my thing got warm. Um, so if you think that someone is can see you, think about what you got and or where they might be seeing you from. So it's like this kitchen window. When we had that bush was there, it was okay. It didn't bother me with the window up and everything. So now I've gotten better. When I was a teen, I loved at grandma's in the attic. Well, a few years later, I found out people watched. A few years later, people watched. Oh my goodness. Why did they see you up in the attic? In the attic, there wouldn't be anything, no windows or anything, I wouldn't think. Oh, and if you can't get a cheap pair of binoculars. Your phone has a zoom on it. And, now the things are getting better. The cameras are all getting better and everything. Through the window. Well, how do all they get up to the attic to see through the window? They had to have a ladder. Because the attic in the house is like high up. Oh my goodness. Yes, that is scary. Um, Now in an apartment complex, now like here, especially up on the second floor in the bedrooms. Anastasia, but she has the front bedroom. So if we're looking at the window, we can see straight across the street. Now, if they've got their bedroom light on and their blinds up, we can look right straight to their bedroom. The same thing with Anastasia. Across the road, I guess. Oh my goodness. Yeah, those are creeper people. Lordy. So, it was cool tonight. So we had the windows open a little bit later, because it's nice and cool outside. But it used to be, I used to tell Anastasia, make sure you put the blinds down, because people can see in. Um, we think used to be we could trust people a lot more. you get comfortable and everything, you see the same person in the neighborhood and everything. But just don't let your guard down. So another thing you can do when you're outside. So this was one thing I was talking about last week. I'm trying to see what the temperature is. It is 48 degrees here. Feels like 46. Yay! um, now, like back in the day, Heather was talking about the white van. All right, so before I get to the white van, I'm gonna finish with Joy, and she's talking about, she feels like somebody's watching. So what you could do, because we all live in an RV, and so if you've got that front window locked and everything, and then check your other windows, see what how high are they off the ground. Sit at your window during the day and just look out and take a notice of what the whole area is and everything. Where could someone sit that would be high enough even that they could see you if you got your curtains open or whatever. Um, that's with everybody. You could do that with your house and your apartment. Open up. All right, so you're this way, you're eye level, you're sitting down and you're sitting out looking at your window. So you're eye level. Now take a scan. What's out there? Are there trees? Is there cars out there? Someone could make a shadow cut out of a muscular man. There you go. You can also put tint on your windows to where the sun can still come in. They can, and so where you can see out and they can't see in. I know there's people who have that reflective mirror stuff that they put on. So we can't put that on our stuff because we would have put it on there a long time ago. But when someone comes up to the door, all they see is their reflection, but you can see out, but they can't see in. I had a friend when I was younger, she lived in an apartment 3 levels up. She had a mannequin she would dress. Yeah, like I said, I've done that too. In my car, I used to have big teddy bear and hat and everything on. Set them right in the back seat of the car, like they were riding along and everything. And then, like I said, I used to do voices for a children's church, and Thursday night was visitation night, so they would have someone who babysit, I guess you want to say, but kept the kids and everything. I would take Mickey Mouse and do a show and everything. So, all right, farm wife, you have a good night. So, sometimes you can, do a voice change. You can try to, they say throw your voice. I can't do that, but I would just, hey, make it talk. People were like, what? But yeah, sit down. So I can stand at the window. And so I'm standing, but I know how far it is from you're going to be standing at the window. I was out there today with the flag because it was right there. All right, so I'm standing. The windowsill is probably up to here is where the windowsill is at. So I'm short. I would have to have something to look up, pull myself up to look. Someone taller would be able just to stand there and lean over and look, but they're going to hit their head with the and the tree limbs and everything. You could do like a Home Alone, make a figure that looks like a big. You can move the arms. Yeah. So like I said, we've done that, but way before Home Alone ever came out. We've done all that. Um, I used to leave the TV on um, and just yell a name. We'll be back in a while, whatever. And dang, my typing is better tonight. It's okay. So, different things you can do. If you have a plant, we could get a small one and put it right there in the window so it kind of distracts or it's almost an obstacle to where they can't see in. Um, oh, we would love to put tint on our windows, but we can't do that. It would help with the electric bill, but we really can't. Especially this back window, it would help because that way, if they were to want to see in, they would just see their reflection and not anything else. Now we have a peephole at the front door, but by the time I get up now, get to the door or whatever, they're gone. It's normally solicitors anyway. So I'm just like, I don't even try anymore. But we got the camera in the front so they can pull it up and see what's going on. Yeah, when you get the feeling that somebody's watching you, most of the time you got it's right on the money. You've got that feeling something's not right, somebody's watching me, something other is going on. Have stained glass peel and stick things too. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that works also because if you've ever seen those, if you've gone up to a door and it has that stained glass stuff, it distorts. And that's the main purpose of it, is distort that you can't see in. So that will work also. So, and then, let's see, because Heather has said something. Just a minute. What's something else? All right. So, yeah, you can sit there and do that. Take a stuffed animal, put it in the window where you're sitting. Um, well, but take your camera, take your phone. Someone's always watching me. Got angels watching over me, my Lord. All day, all night. Angels watching over me. So take your camera, and it's like, even if you film it or if you just take pictures, go section by section by section by section. And then you can zoom in, and then, if it's far away, you can say, okay, where could someone stand here? Could someone sit here? Could someone behind this tree or between those two trees, how far back could they be and still be able to see or watch or whatever, but I couldn't see them. So those are other things you could do to see what's going on in your area. I've taken so many pictures around here that I kind of know it by heart. But then it's like I said, they cut those bushes down over there so that, you can actually see now clear of the field and everything. So I don't know if something happened and that's why they took them down, or they just took them down because he was going to try to sell the land right there, but it didn't. It didn't work. And I say, when you sit outside, especially if you're in a city or, in a neighborhood, watch who walks through your neighborhood. Is it someone that's a regular person that walks your neighborhood? Or is it somebody new? Now, a lot of people we have that walk through here, they'll cut through this parking lot to go over to there's a gas station, convenience station over there and everything. Um, and then, I'll see them, they'll walk another different way, but they're coming back this way. So I've gotten used to seeing those people. Like I said, I haven't sat outside in a long time. Just that because I got to take a chair out there and have stuff with me and then bring everything back in and then the chair back in and then my hip. And I'm just like, I'm good. But I do miss going outside and sit. And our neighbors are nice. They have it's like a patio set. It's the two chairs with the glass table in the middle, but the chairs are connected and everything. And they were coming home from, I guess it was church one Sunday. She goes, anytime you're outside, you can sit there if you want to. I said, thank you. I don't feel comfortable enough to sit in someone else's chair. Not the chair, but in front of their apartment. So I was just like, I'll just wait. Um, and see. I don't know. I just don't want to do that. But there's so many things that outside that goes on. Just probably as much as it does goes on inside. But I think more so the outside. Because inside, you're pretty good. You're inside and everything. You know what sounds you have and everything already. Or outside, things could change so fast. Um, there's like around here, sometimes there are dogs that just, are loose and everything and wander around and everything. We had one a few years ago, and Anastasia and I were outside. This was where her mom and dad were both still working. And we had finished school. We were just right here at the back door and everything. And all of a sudden, it just popped up over here at the hill, and I'm just like, okay. So Anastasia's playing, and I'm just like, without telling her or warning her or making her scared or scream, whatever, I'm just like, hey, baby girl, could you come here for a minute? I have something to tell you. So she gets up, and she gets to me. I said, open the door and go in. There's a dog over there. I said, but leave the door open so I can get in. So she goes in, and I go in. I left the chair, but I was able to get her inside. But because of hearing things and being out there and watching, and even though I didn't see it, I heard it, you know, and it was kind of like, it wasn't a growl, but it was barking. But we knew it was not one of the dogs that somebody was walking and everything. So that's how we know some things, is training, is getting to know what's your area, what's around your house, to keep you safe. Not to scare you in any way, but to keep you safe. Check your light bulbs every once in a while on your back porch, your front porch. Make sure they work in order. Sit outside and listen, or when you're inside, have someone go outside. Does this cause, is this a shadow that's a, a fixed shadow? There are fixed shadows and there's shadows that move. What's a fixed shadow? What's one that's going to move? Especially when the wind blows. When there's a breeze, the trees move and everything. Is it a tree moving? Basically, if it's going to be a person, you're going to be able to tell that it's a person. But, some people, when they do things, they know, some people know what they're doing, some of them don't. But yeah, is that a fixed shadow that you see, or is it, and here's the weirdest thing. Some of the bugs at nighttime, they have a shadow too. And it's like, I'll be seeing something on the wall. It's like flying around. I'm like, what in the wall is that? It's not even inside, it's outside, Mosquitoes or other moths at nighttime. They like the light. Um, so, you know, is that a fixed shadow? Your car is a fixed shadow. It has, when the light shines on your porch light, that's a fixed shadow. It's not supposed to be moving. But if there's an animal in that shadow, it can move that, things do different things, especially when they are close to the light. Yes, they are. So, all right, let me see. Oh, I'll do something so I can show you what I'm talking about. Hey, my hip didn't get out. All right, it's dark. But the purposes of this is to see if I can get y'all to see this. All right, yeah, that's the sensor light. But right there, you can see that light, light thin light on shadow on the wall. That's from the porch light. But it's showing that shadow right there on the wall because that's coming through the blinds. Well, when I lay in bed, I look at that to see if anything's moving. Now, it used to be when the AC came on, the blinds would move, but we fixed that because I was like, oh, no, I'm not having that. But if something were to come into that shadow, I would know it. So like I said, see something come into that shadow, I would see it and I would know, okay, something's going on. So that's why I have that whistle, the flashlight. And yes, I have other things to, there goes the light, that, to protect me while I'm down here. Because you can see that now I was fortunate because, blessed. I was blessed because when I stood up, took a step, thank you, Lord, my leg having strength. But that's one thing, and I've learned at nighttime, look where the light is, or the shadows right there. If there's no shadows right there, and that's the fixed light, it's not going to move or anything else. Even when the pepper plant was out there, it wasn't on that side to where that blind is. So there was no shadow of that. Now, now when the wind blows outside, the trees there, the tree line and everything, that will throw a shadow at the back door, and I can see stuff moving back and forth. So that's what I was like. I was in here one night, and I turned all the lights off, and I left it like that with the material right there, and I can see the street light for where the the mailboxes are. But if there's stuff moving back and forth in front of that light, I'll have to look and see what's going on. But I know with the wind blowing like that, it's going to cast a shadow. So, when someone's walking past your porch light, it will cast a shadow. And that way you can figure out, okay, wait a minute, what did I just see? Am I seeing what I thought I see? Then you sit and listen. Well, I know what this sounds like outside. Oh, I know that I put those sticks out there. If hear the sticks break, then you know exactly, something's going on. I'm alert now. Let's figure out what's going on. Just don't ever go outside. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to go outside and, da 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 da. But if you know all the animals are all picked, all together, everything's asleep and everybody's asleep, and it's something else, and you don't think you have to call 911, then be aware of what's going on. If you think someone's trying to do something, yes, call 911. Tell them, if someone breaks into my home or someone's doing this, they're going to get hurt. There was a story that I heard. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it's on Facebook or whatever, a long time ago. This man kept calling people breaking into his garage, whatever. He kept calling 911. It'd be 15 minutes. It'd be this, always some kind of excuse. And then he called that one night, and he said someone was breaking into the garage. And the dispatcher told him it was going to be 15, 20 minutes or whatever. He goes, when they come, make sure they bring the body bag and for the morgue. They go, what? He goes, well, I'm tired of this happening. They were there in 5 minutes. And it wasn't just one. There was a bunch of them. And they asked him what happened. He goes, well, I kept telling this was going on. This was going on. When it was happening and everything. And they said the dispatcher wouldn't tell them it was the dispatcher that was doing it. I mean, as far as delaying time to the police, they're always around the corner and everything. So there's a lesson there. Sometimes they are busy, especially in the cities and everything. They're busy. And listen, I hear it all the time. Fire department, the police, or the fire, or an ambulance, or something. But if you tell them specifically, hey, I hear something, I know that's not the right thing, I believe someone's trying to break in. If they ask you, can you go look and see, tell them flat out, if I go look and see, this person is not going to be standing up. And that's just point blank as it is. You're protecting yourself and and say it. Everything at 911 dispatch is recorded. And Kathleen on My Alabama Farm Life, she can tell you that. Everything in dispatch is recorded. Don't let them tell you that it's not. It is. It is a legal thing that they have to record the conversation. So, hey, I've done that. You gonna take your time getting here? Well, this is going to happen because I'm taking care of family. I'm taking care of my kids. Or, my mom was, she was in a car accident. She couldn't, there was a lot of stuff. We're going to, defend our family. That's why I like a few things about Ohio. I like stand your ground, constitutional carry, which I couldn't figure out the other day to say, and open carry. But check your laws and make sure each county and municipal and everything have different things. But make sure that hey, if I call and said someone was call non-emergency. And then lawyers they get free consultations all the time. It doesn't hurt to call and ask. If someone wants to try to break in or they break in, what are my rights to do as protecting myself? Someone will tell you, someone won't. Find someone that will. And there's things online that should be online already to, you can look up the legal laws and everything. Well, that tag just broke. I'm trying to pull the tea bag out so I can get the rest of the tea. But one of the most important things y'all can know, besides knowing that, is know the Bill of Rights, your first 10 amendments. Those are important also. Because I've had police officers sitting there telling me all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, well, tell me what the Sixth Amendment is. He just looks at me and like, you don't know? About search and seizure. and I need to brush up on it. The Fifth Amendment is that's why you call it plead the Fifth, that you don't have to incriminate yourself. So, but search and seizures, that's there for a reason. But yeah, we can go the next week. I'll go more in detail, more about being outside, um, getting in your car when it's dark outside, or getting out of your car when it's dark outside. Um, when you go to a store and it's daytime, when you go to leave and it's nighttime, um, what to look for. Now, I know things have changed and people are saying somebody's put money on your windshield or this is on your door or whatever. Anytime you're like in a public grocery store or whatever, and you go out to your car and you don't feel comfortable, my first thing is go back into the store, go up to customer service. Hey, do you have someone who can walk me up to my car? Something's not right. And most of the time, they will have someone walk you out to the car. If not, then you just sit there and say, I'm just not going to leave until someone walks me out. Yeah. Like I know your vehicle is taller before you get in it. Exactly. And everything. But see, that's what one thing we were doing when we were at dinner last week. And I think I did most of the talking. But anyway, talking about doing security and everything. And this just so happened. I didn't even plan it this way or anything. I ended up being at the head at this end of the table. It was just easier for me to get at that table because I looked when I was walking through and it was getting us to the table. That was the first thing I was looking at. Which way is it easier for me to get in and out of the table? From the table to go do whatever I need. We'll get the food bar or whatever. So I ended up at the end of this table. So sitting at the table, there I had the emergency door exit here. There's a big window back there so I can see outside, see what's going on outside, the cars and everything. And this side I could see back into the restaurant. And not purposely to do it or purposely to protect everybody, but that's just where I sat. That's where I was just like, I sat, and that's how my mind works. And that's what Tammy said. I left that seat for you, girlfriend. Oh, thank you, Lisa. But then that's how my mind, like Tammy said, with the training I've had, that's how my mind works. And I sit there and enjoyed myself. And I don't know if y'all even saw it or not, but every so often I'll be looking this way to see what's going on because I hear the girls behind us, they're slamming the dishes and everything. So I'm just like, okay, what's going on back there? We had such a good time and everything. So, and Wednesday night will be talking about the Daniel fast, what I ate while I was out and everything. Did I have a reaction to anything? What I've been doing. And I know it was funny because I kept going, like, they were just slamming stuff. And I was like, oh, somebody broke something in? I don't know. But what's going on, if I've seen any changes, I'm taking the Corback walnut mix and everything. I think that's working, and I'll tell you all that Wednesday night. And then Saturday night is Bible study, and Friday night is cooking dairy free, and I forgot with Nancy. I'm curious if you had a reaction. I was praying that I'm gonna let you know. You gotta come and see. Yeah, because I was like, I'm just gonna have some stuff before I start my Daniel fast. But it was all good food. Oh my goodness, it was so good. And yeah, It was, and they do at Smith's German restaurant. They do have an allergy, not a menu, but they have a chart of things for allergies. Whether if you have milk or soy, eggs, and all, and it's all marked on that and everything. So I was really impressed. The only sad thing was all the desserts have milk. I was like, ah, but they were some good looking desserts. It was amazing. And that was a nice area at their end. So the next time, make sure we have to go to that fudge shop just so I can see what the fudge. Hey, next year at this time, I can bring that home because Anastasia will be able to have it. That'd be so awesome. That'd be so cool. I'll tell you. So, but that's all I have for y'all tonight and everything. Like I said, next week I'll get more in depth about going to your vehicle, when you're at the store, little things like that and everything. Oh, that yes, it was adorable. Yeah, they got nice down there. Oh yeah, the fuzz shop. Because I was like, because everybody asked, was I going to take something home? I'm like, I can't take anything home. I said, well, not yet. Next year I'll be able to bring something home and everything. So, oh, thank you, Heather. I'm just sharing with y'all what I've learned growing up, what I taught myself, what I learned is doing security and private investigations and anything. Going to get I got my associate's degree in criminal justice and my CSI certification. And as you can see, this is what I do, which is fine. It just gives me that y'all know I have a background in that, only that, but I have my degrees in it and everything. So I just took how that worked was when I was in Missouri and I was hurt. I looked because by that time I say you could take your experience and whatever it is and put it towards your degree. So it was Kaplan University, and I called them and I was like, between my management, I've done the retail, food service, then security, the investigations, bails bonds and everything. They were like, yeah, I mean, I got a 2-year degree. I got my CSI in like 6 months because I already knew how to do most of it. It was just some other things that I needed to go, and then took those credits and put towards my 2-year degree. Instead of taking 2 years, it took like maybe 14 months or so to do it. And then I wanted to go to do my bachelor's for criminal justice, and the school loan department said I had maxed out. I'm like, how I max out on school loans when the people who go to be doctors can get their loans every year for it? So I'm just like, whatever. Like, whatever. So, but that's all good. Yeah. So kind of like done with, I've helped with other investigations when I was like, all right, so like 17, 18, everything. We knew a lot of police officers and everything. I was doing paralegal, didn't get very far in most of my education's ECE. I understand. So when they were like, go in there, hey Nancy, could you go in there and see if they sell you cigarettes? Or by the time I was 18, cigarettes was you had to be 21, or let you buy alcohol or whatever and everything. So, and I've helped in doing things like that. So that was years ago. And then oh wow, that is so cool. You and Heather. And hey, I did have to go to the JAG at Fort Lee for oh my goodness. Was that when I was doing investigations? I think so. Well, anyway, I've been in Fort Lee a lot of times, but they have a general nutrition center at Fort Lee, and I used to have to go out there to. His name was Randy. It's so funny. He looked like Richard Simmons. And I was just like, I had to go out there to his store sometimes, and he always came to my store. But I know I went to JAG a couple of times because of investigations. When I was working for a company and everything, and they would go because the guy who was running the company, I have this for you, la la la, but you have to go to Fort Lee because I don't know if they're giving you information. I said, don't worry about it. The secretary, she was so mad because she had her license, but she never could figure out how I would get information. Like, it's all the way you ask. And it's like, Richard Simmons, my mom used to do his workout. His workouts work. I'm telling you. I know. I used to do them. So, but yeah, if you know how to ask the right questions, it's all how you word things. Um, you know, and then I wouldn't lie to him either. I'm private, I'm an investigator with such and such company, and we're looking for this person because of blah 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 blah, and just and they were like, I was like, I know you really can't give out information, but all I need is a yes or no about something, or has anybody ever seen this person? Or, simple questions and everything. Watch Murder, She Wrote. That's how you learn how to pick up on things. Just on the little details and everything. So, but yeah, fun shows, watching Magnum PI. Oh, we were watching Chips one time, and I watched it, and my best friend watched it. We didn't watch it at her house. She watched it. I watched it at mine, and this is how we learned how to do this one. So they were chasing this guy with a stolen car and everything, and he turned the corner and everything, and he disappeared. Where there's this used car lot and everything, and so Punch and John looked at each other and pointed over there. So they go over there, they park, and they get out of the car, and so they lean like going between the cars, laying down. And I can't remember which one of them. They took the glove off and they start feeling the hood of the car. Well, if you turn your car off, as soon as you turn your car off, it takes a while for it to cool off. So that hood of that car is still going to be hot. So that's how they pinpoint which car the guy was in, and they got the guy. So that actually works. Just to let y'all know, that little tip worked. So you can learn things from the TV shows. Because I've got the DVDs. If you watch to the end and see the credits, this is credit to California Fire Department, blah, blah, and then it's da da da, and then the California Highway Patrol, da 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 da. So yeah. So anytime you see a car that is, you kind of do it to your own car. You'll know. You put your hand on that hood, it's gonna be hot. But that's a good way to find out if has that car been sitting there for a while? Is that car, somebody in there, or what they doing? So thank y'all all for being here tonight. I've enjoyed it. Lots of stuff coming and everything. Still gotta edit those videos. but I'll get them uploaded. So y'all have a wonderful and blessed night. God bless. Stay safe. We love y'all. And we'll see you next time on Our Treasure Home. 3, 2, 1.